1945. Germany was on the verge of collapse. Hidden within his subterranean bunker, Adolf Hitler awaited his end. The final days of World War II had been a fever pitch of tactical planning with his staff inside the war bunker. The next morning, however, everything was foreign. As he regained consciousness, a shockwave of disorientation hit him. The location of his former bunker was now a patch of green wasteland, a park, an absolute stillness. No planes roared overhead, and the thunder of artillery was gone. He initially dismissed it as a fever dream, but then he saw them, children playing freely in the open air. The area had been converted into a public park. Stumbling forward, Hitler was utterly baffled. What world was this? Towering modern architecture, huge digital billboards, and people walking by with strange, flat, glowing gadgets held to their ears. The world had utterly transformed, and Hitler had been yanked from 1945 straight into the 21st century. People instantly gathered around him. It's a Hitler look-alike. Bro, let's click a selfie. They smiled and posed, convinced he was a method actor or a particularly committed street comedian. In his confusion, Hitler demanded to know, "My headquarters? My office? Where is it?" But no one took his furious inquiry seriously. He spotted a woman standing with her child and instinctively moved toward her, thinking she might offer assistance. The woman, however, was overcome with fear and panic. Without a second thought, she deployed a blast of pepper spray directly into his eyes. Crippled by burning pain, Hitler sank to the ground, confused, enraged, and completely helpless. The chemical assault slowly subsided, and Hitler staggered toward a nearby newspaper kiosk. Reaching for the first paper he could find, his eyes fell upon the date, 2014. The revelation struck him like a physical blow. 2014, 70 years had vanished in an instant. How? When? Why? The reality was too much to process. His mind reeled, and he collapsed, the newspaper still clutched in his hand. He awoke back in the kiosk. The same shop owner, the keeper of the fateful newspaper, looked on with mild curiosity. Rubbing his eyes, Hitler demanded, "What year is this?" The vendor calmly confirmed, 2014. Hitler's paranoia intensified. Is this an enemy trick? Have I been imprisoned and placed inside a false reality? He demanded a German newspaper. Reading the current headlines, his comprehension of the new world broadened, only to be crushed by the details. The president of Germany was a woman. The world he had attempted to forge through fire and blood was unrecognizable. Slowly, painfully, he began to grasp the new reality. But one truth cut him to the core. From overheard conversations and the newsprint, he learned the ultimate fate of the war. Germany had been defeated. And not only that, but Poland, the nation he had sought to erase from the map, was not only still in existence but was an independent state. Hearing this, a strange, profound sadness washed over him. Had all his sacrifices been for nothing? A flicker of cold, absolute conviction crossed Hitler's face. He had reached a decision. I have been granted this life again to complete the work I left unfinished. Meanwhile, our story shifts to a major television station, where we meet Fabian, a frustrated yet creative filmmaker desperate to produce something real, different, and authentic. However, his unyielding boss, resistant to change, had just one thing to say: "You're fired, Fabian." Pleading and reasoning were futile. The boss's security detail quickly escorted the protesting Fabian out of the building. Dejected, exhausted, and bitter, Fabian returned home. As he reviewed old documentary footage, the same material he shot in the park where Hitler awoke, a peculiar figure appeared in the background. An astonishingly convincing Adolf Hitler look-alike. A frantic idea sparked in Fabian's mind. I will tour this man across all of Germany and film a documentary. What he couldn't know was that this was no actor. This was the genuine Adolf Hitler. Hitler, still clad in his stained, outdated Nazi uniform, was advised by the kiosk owner, "Your uniform is filthy. You should take it to a laundry." Following the suggestion, he visited a laundromat, but his decades-old attire proved irreparable. With no alternative, he was forced, for the first time, to don modern civilian clothes. Returning to the newsstand, he found Fabian waiting with the owner. The two narratives were about to collide. Fabian pitched his idea to the striking look-alike. I want to tour Germany with you. I want to make a documentary." Astonishingly, Hitler agreed. Fabian borrowed money from his mother, rented a car, and they set off. Across cities and villages, Fabian introduced Hitler to ordinary citizens, who poured out their anxieties. The most frequent complaint was the deep resentment over foreign nationals taking German jobs. Hitler nodded gravely, his demeanor serious, promising, "I will solve all your problems." His answers, disturbingly, echoed the same rhetoric that had once plunged the world into war. Their documentary journey led them to an animal shelter to film a segment on dogs. While filming, a dog playfully bit Hitler's finger. Enraged, Hitler instantly pulled out a pistol and shot the animal dead. Fabian was aghast. "You will never do that again." This is 2014, do you understand? Money was now running out, and a desperate Fabian hatched a new plan. He told Hitler, "You will draw people's portraits. You are an entertainer now." Hitler sat by the roadside with a sign, "Free sketches by Hitler look-alike." People formed a line, some laughing, others simply curious, to have their sketches drawn. Fabian got his money and, more importantly, his views and fame. The videos he shot of Hitler had gone viral on YouTube. Crazy German sketch artist. Thousands of views, comments, and shares poured in. Fabian and Hitler were becoming local celebrities. Fabian returned to the very TV company that had fired him, presenting his viral videos to his former boss. The boss scoffed, "This guy is hilarious. A complete clown. Kick them both out." But by now, Hitler had captured the attention of the company's powerful new chairwoman, Bellini. Impressed by Hitler's charisma and his sharp, if shocking opinions, Bellini instructed her junior executive, "Create a new show for this man. Germany can't get enough of him." However, Fabian's former boss, who harbored deep resentment for both him and the look-alike, enacted his plan to publicly humiliate Hitler. They launched a satirical comedy show intending to make him the butt of every joke. But when Hitler stepped onto the stage, he did not deliver comedy. Instead, he unleashed the same potent ideology that defined his past. "We must make our nation great again," he thundered. "We must stand up for our own people and for our future." The audience was initially stunned, but soon a dangerous element in the crowd began to applaud. The words were the same, only the century had changed. The show instantly became a massive, nationwide hit. Fabian watched, his stomach churning with anger and dread. He finally understood the perilous turn their venture had taken. This man was no longer just famous. He was burrowing deep into the consciousness of the German people. Fabian managed to retrieve the incriminating footage, the video of Hitler shooting the dog at the animal shelter. During a live broadcast, he played the shocking clip for the entire nation. The audience was silenced. The fallout was immediate. Bellini and Hitler were both fired from the network. Fabian believed he had finally destroyed him, but the story was far from over. Hitler next penned an autobiography titled simply, "Look Who's Back." The book became a sensation. Readers were astounded. Some consumed it as a dark warning, others as a perverse form of inspiration. History was attempting to repeat itself. The stage was different, but the core sentiment remained disturbingly familiar. With Hitler's show canceled, the once dominant channel began to plummet in the ratings. Viewers tuned out in droves. There was only one solution: bring Hitler back. But as the network searched for him, Hitler was confronted by two aggressive German nationalists. Mistaking him for a mocking impersonator, they brutally attacked him. Hitler was hospitalized, but news of the assault spread like wildfire across Germany. Public sympathy surged, transforming him into a national martyr. Meanwhile, Fabian re-examined the original footage of their first encounter. Observing closely, he noticed a brief, bizarre electrical flash at the site. He finally understood. This was no double. This was the real Adolf Hitler. Fabian raced back to the location of their first meeting. The grass was scorched, the leaves reduced to ash. Doubt was gone, replaced by absolute certainty. Fabian sprinted to the hospital, frantically cornering Bellini, shouting, "He is the real Hitler!" Bellini, unable to comprehend the truth, dismissed him as delusional. Fabian tracked Hitler down to the rooftop. "You are a monster!" Fabian screamed. You burned Germany to the ground." Hitler simply smiled, a chilling serenity on his face, and replied, "I did nothing. I was chosen by the German people. They love me." In a fit of righteous fury, Fabian raised his weapon and shot Hitler. The figure tumbled from the rooftop, but as Fabian turned away, a chill swept through the air. Hitler stood behind him, completely unharmed. "No one can kill me," Hitler declared, his voice cutting through the silence, "because I live inside the hearts of the people." The scene abruptly freezes. It is revealed that this confrontation was not reality, but merely the final dramatic scene of a movie being filmed. The man playing Fabian removes a meticulously crafted silicone mask. The film they were shooting was based on Hitler's best-selling book. The real Fabian Sawatsky is then shown. He is confined to a mental asylum. When he desperately tried to tell everyone that the man they had turned into a celebrity was the genuine Hitler, no one believed him. They dismissed him as a madman and locked him away. Meanwhile, Hitler's takeover of Germany is complete. Bellini is by his side, and Hitler has officially re-entered the political arena. Germany's nationalist groups have wholeheartedly embraced him as their leader. The two drive through the city streets in an open-top Mercedes. Hitler's voice, now a triumphant monologue, rings out, "I can work with this. I will make Germany great again." The chilling final thought echoes, history doesn't repeat itself. It just rebrands itself. The film serves as a stark warning, illustrating how the past can reappear if a society loses its vigilance. Hitler's final words resonate with sinister power. "I could return because you allowed me to." And with that chilling revelation, the story concludes. If you enjoyed this narrative, please remember to like, subscribe, and share.